Okay, greetings everyone. Thank you for the opportunity today. We're from the fourth group. We're going to talk about the eighth chapter of this course about secure information. So our group is consists of Rakabila Yuda, me, and Yende. But eventually, Yende couldn't come because we already contact her, but she doesn't respond. Okay, continuing. So the first part of the presentation, why are information systems are vulnerable to distraction, error, and abuse? Okay. So digital data is vulnerable to distraction, misuse, error, and fraud, and hardware and several problems. The internet is meant to be an open system, making internal business process more exposed to attacks. Hackers can launch denial of service or DOS attacks or breach business network, causing significant system outages. So in this picture, we have the list about the how information system could be abused. So the first one we have the client or users. The most common mistake, most common errors are unauthorized access and error. And in the communication lines, there are tapping, sniffing, method automation, and theft, if fraud, and radiation. On the corporate server, they are is vulnerable to hacking, malware, theft and fraud, vandalism, and DOS. On the corporate system, there are a few mistakes that will be happen. There are theft of data, copying data, alternation of data, and hardware failure and software failure. Wi-Fi network are readily infiltrated by intruders who use sniffer programs to get ingress and access to the network service. Computer viruses and worms can take down system and website. The scattered nature of cloud computing make it difficult to detect illicit behavior or impose restriction from a firm. Software causes issues because the software flaws may be hard to eradicate, and software vulnerabilities can be exploited by hackers and harmful software. Errors are frequently introduced by the end of users. So in this picture, we can see how internet could abuse user. Because internet is open user system, so it could be a legitimate user or individual. Continuing to the what is the business value of security and control? Firms that rely on computer system are essential business activities may lose revenue and productivity as a result of inadequate security control. When information assets such as private personal data, trade secret, or company strategies and are disclosed to outsider or subjects, the firm to legal risk. They lose a significant portion of their value. New regulations such as HIPAA or the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act and the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. The Sarbanes-Oxley Act is of 2002 is a federal law that established sweeping, auditing, and financial information for public companies. Lawmakers created the legislation to help protect stakeholder employees and public from accounting errors and fraudulent financial practices. And also the Gramm-Leach Act. The Gramm-Leach-Pillay Act requires financial institutions, companies that offer consumer financial protection services like loan, financial or investment advice or insurance to explain the information sharing practices to their customer and to safeguard their sensitive data. Compile the business to maintain rigorous electronic record management and comply to strict security, privacy, and control requirements. Legal proceeding involving electronic evidence and computer forensics necessitate a greater emphasis on security and electronic record management. And the next part of the presentation will be held by my colleague Raka.
So talking about that being said, we'll discuss about components of an organizational framework for security and control. Next, please. So this is actually basically the architecture. So in information system control, to manage your information within the business framework, we have to manage the information. We have to secure the system. And there are actually type of general control to manage those informations. So the first one is software control. This is monitor the use of system software and prevent unauthorized access and use of software program, system software and computer programs. And then after the software control, you must have hardware control, and software control is embedded within the hardware control. And then the hardware control is actually, it is like the body of your, it is similar like your body. So your body is actually your hardware, and then your soul is then your thought, your heart is actually your software. So hardware ensure the computer hardware is physically secure and check for equipment malfunction. Organizations that are critically dependent on their computers also must make provisions for backup or continued operation to maintain constant service. So backup is really important, since they may experience outages or a down maintenance in one of their servers. So they have actually to back up their data so they can save their data safely and then put it back again into operation. And then computer operations control. In large company, you may have many servers, and then you must have one computer or several computers to control those servers. So this oversees the work of the computer department to ensure that program procedures are constantly and correctly applied to storage and processing of data. They include controls over the setup of computer, processing jobs, and backup and recovery procedures from processing that ends abnormally. And then data security controls. This is ensures the valuable business data files maintained internally or by an external hosting service are not subject to unauthorized access, changes, or destruction while they are in use or in storage. We will talk about this later. Most of companies use firewall system for their data security controls, but again, we will talk it further in the next slide. And then implementation controls. This is simply an auditing system that develop process at various points to ensure that the process is properly controlled and managed. The data management system and the security controls. It have to be audited in several periods to maintain the correct operation. And then the administrative control. In some countries, they have law regarding the data management system and the security, the privacy of the users. There are many, right nowadays, there are many software which provides services to users by, and they must save the user's data. So it is correlated with the user's privacy. So in some country, they establish law that talks about the privacy of the users, the consumers. So basically, it formalizes the standards, rules, procedures, and control disciplines to ensure that the organization general and application controls are properly executed and enforced. Enforce the law that I've been talking about. Next, please. And then when you're storing the data, your company's data, or even users' data, the consumer's data, there's a risk. So you have to assess the risk to evaluate the degree that a given activity or process poses to the company if it is not adequately handled. So you have to estimate what is the loss if something going wrong. So here are the left-hand side, the exposure is actually the problem. there are power failure. So for example, the power went down in the server, the data center of your company, and then embezzlement, user error. So user error actually is the human error side. So maybe the programmer did not program the server framework correctly, so they have problem in the server. So, and then after defining the possible problem, we calculate the probability of the occurrence. How possible the problem will occur? So it is in percentage. So the power failure will happen possibly 30%. Embezzlement will happen possibly 5%, and the user error will possibly happen 98%. So after we calculate the probability of occurrence, how much it will be occur, how possible it will occur, then we calculate the loss of revenue. Our loss, our cost that must be incurred to fix those problems. So this is in range. The power failure, for example, is $5,000 to $200,000, and the average of loss is shown inside the semicolon. It's $102,000. And next, please. So this is security policy. In a company, they may have to establish security policy for their personnel, for their employees. So some employee can access this, some employee can access that. So it has to be clearly defined. So no employee can actually leak the information regarding the sensitive information about the company. So as you can see in the right hand side, is this the security profile of a employee. So for example, the security profile 1 is the personal department clerk. The location is in division 1, and the employee identification is this number. You can see codes with this profile, and then you see this 00753 and so on. This is the identification number of the employee. And then data field restriction is actually the type of access. So what type of access? Maybe this man can access the server, this man can access this this data processing or something. So we have to clearly define what these people can access. And now, and this is all the details is in the below the data field restriction. This is the all employee data for division 1 only. So this man can only access medical history data, salary and pensionable earnings. This man cannot access other data specified other than specified in the security profile. Next, please. So auditing. So as I mentioned before, the process of data processing, the security enforcement must be audited in several periods to ensure that the security is still safe. So as you can see, the left-hand side is the nature of weakness and impact. So the user's account with missing password. Then we determine the chance for error or abuse. So actually, yes, in this June of 16th, 2018, by J. Erickson is the auditor. So actually, there are a chance of abuse of passwords. So, and then the auditor notifies the management to eliminate account without password. So they require the account requires users to make a password. So this is the example of auditing. This is simply just to make sure that the security is still safe and still could govern. Next, please. And then this is the last one. This is the important tools and technologies for safeguarding information resources. Next, please. So we need to identify management and authentication. This is simply to determine who are you and does that person have does that person actually authorized to access something? So identifying management software simply is the process of tracking all these user and their system rights, as well as providing each user a unique digital identity for accessing each system. And then the capacity to know that a person is who he or she claims to be is referred to as authentication. So simply authentication is actually the degree of what things, what contents that you can access. A smart card, this is maybe you will often see a smart card in the office. So there are certain rooms that only certain people that can access the room. So they're actually use the smart card to enter that room. So a smart card is a device the size of a credit card that incorporates a chip that is formatted with access, authorization, and other data. Nowadays, cards use RFID, so you simply just tap to the block of the door, then the door will be open. This case is, for example, in the offices with a certain room that only certain people can access the room. And then this to allow or reject access. And then we use biometric authentication systems, scans, and interpret specific human features such as fingerprint, irises, voices, and nowadays people use face recognition. And in high-end security system, in high-end data centers, they use your walking movement. So people have different length of bone and structure of body. So if your walking gesture is not matched, then you are not authorized to enter the room or the contents. And then the factor authentication improves security by verifying users in several steps. For example, if you're logging in your email and you are required to read your short messages, SMS, and you are required to enter the code sent through SMS. That, for example. And next, please. And firewalls. As I mentioned before, we will talk about firewalls. Firewalls is actually the safety protocols in a server. So in the left-hand side, you can see internet. Internet is actually the, you know the internet. What is the internet? The wide networks containing websites and all of those things. And then the outer firewall actually protect the web server, your corporate server, from the outer internet, from the outer world, from the overall internet. So before information is going in or out from the internet or from the web server, either from the internet or the web server, you have those information must pass the outer firewall first. So the firewall filters the data, filters which data can enter the web server or going out to the internet. And then the web server, after the web server, those information must collected in the corporate systems. This is actually the center framework system. This is the inner firewall. This is the highest firewall, the highest level of firewall. So some viruses might be presence in the web server. So when the web server is sending a data to the corporate system, the data must be filtered firstly before entering the corporate system. So this is the purpose of in the firewall. And then after the corporate system, it must be a clear data. It must be clear data from the viruses and then sent to the database. And then the corporate system actually connected to several LANs, Often it is a internal lens within the company or the office. And then the outer firewall and inner firewall have policy rules. So the rules actually define what kind of information can go in and out. And next, please. So this is the public key encryption. So when you playing your Instagram, playing your WhatsApp or anything, your phone is actually a server. Your phone is actually a device that can create information and receive information. So those transferred information actually must be encrypted. So people that you not wanted or unwanted people cannot access their information. So the information is encrypted with public key. So for example, you send hello to your friend, and then the encrypted message will be not hello anymore. It will be a scrambled message. It will be a gibberish. And then the person that you wanted to receive your message will decrypt that private key. Then that person will actually receive hello sent it by you. And next, please. So this is digital certificate. It is actually a certificate to certify that this is the real signature, this is the real issuer, this is the real letter or something. So nowadays people use digital signatures rather than a paper signature and then scan it through the scanner and then send it to the receiver. We actually use we often use digital signature nowadays. So to certify that the signature is real, we use digital certificates. This is the process that you can see. Next, please. So yes, this is the end of our presentation. Thank you very much.